The Morrison Bridge just up ahead. And it's Vera still pushing. He knows he's got to get away. Cruz must feel the same thing as Spence. Boy, he's just sitting so beautifully, ideally positioned. Alberto, you see him put his head down to his chin a little bit, his chin down to his chest, rather, and that's a sign that he's just chomping at the bit.
He's running very much in control of himself. Vera has been sprinting all out for about the last 200 meters. I don't think he has much left. Whether Cruz is going to be able to respond at this point, we'll have to wait and see. But Spence, I feel, is just, he knows that this is his race. All he's got to do is just wait until he sees that finish line and then go into that final kick.
It's almost like time to pick your spot. That seemed like it right there, but he backed off.
That was a little test surge there, right there. That's a tactic I used to use to try and sprint a little bit just to see how somebody reacts, and then wait for that one last final move.
Look at Spence, just look at him. I mean, he's just got this, he's just looking at him. He's just picking any spot he wants, and there he goes.
There's no way they're going to catch him at this point. He's starting to go right now. This is when you have a sub-4-minute miler running against a marathon runner. He knows how to time that kick so that he can carry it.
What a beautiful race by Steve Spence. He was second last week at the last month rather at the Bloomsday 12K. He's been a non-winner all year for the last 2 years. His last victory at the '87 Jacksonville River Run. That's where he made a name for himself.
Look at those arms. Look at the way he's pumping those arms. You can just see that he has a lot
Cruz
left.
has not given up, Alberto. Cruz has got, this is his all-out surge to the finish.
He's gutting it out. You've got Spence now, the classic track runner. He's pumping his arms, but you got Cruz, and he doesn't know when to quit.
Spence is tiring here at the finish, and Cruz is going to go by him. I can't believe it. Cruz is going to win. Spence had it, but Cruz wins it. Spence in second, and Vera in third. Alberto, is this a Cruz victory or a Spence loss?
Well, I think Spence ran one of the smartest races he's ever run. If anything, he may have just started a little bit too soon. He obviously had the speed over Cruz and was able to pull away at will.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Cascade 89. And here's our fight for fourth place. Garcia from Mexico on the left. Eidstone from Utah on the right. A dead sprint for these guys as well. A couple of marathon runners duking it out for fourth. Hard to tell from this vantage point.
He moved with perhaps a half mile to go, and he started to pull away from Alejandro, and he had to do everything he could to stay up with him. And then after that, it appeared that Spence started to tire, and Alejandro was able to pull away.
Scoreboard, over $58,000 in prize money in the race today, $7,000 for the win. Remember, Cascade was the first official prize money race, that back in 1981. The women's Foot Locker scoreboard. In fifth place, Leanne Warren is a native of Portland, former NCAA 1,500-meter champion and record holder, back in running after 2 or 3 knee surgeries. What a story.
They have to make a left-hand turn when they get to the bottom of this hill. By going out to the right, Cruz is essentially giving himself 5 more yards if he has to sprint to the finish. What a great strategy. He is giving it all right here, but it's not over. Well, he went to the big kick of Kenny Martin from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Kenny Martin heading toward the wire. Now it's just a matter of
this will be one to remember as we take some early guys going for the lead, probably to get on camera.
Yeah, the crowd has made, they start oohing and ahhing as that pelting rain that just made a downpour on the runners just joined us at the broadcast location here at Channel 6, and the people just started oohing and ahhing, and this reminds me of the start of the Crescent City Classic down in New Orleans when the rain was very much like this. At the time, I referred to it as biblical. But for the runners, this is not bad. These are wide streets they're going to be running on. There's no potholes. There shouldn't be a lot of puddles, and this will cool the runners off, and we should see some fast running because there's not a lot of wind that goes along with this. It's just a straight downpour, which means, much like automobiles, when you're working that hard, you're building up heat, and now there's a place for that heat to be dissipated.
All right, as you can see, runners moving up Brady Street Hill. We'll see who can set the early pace. The weather is going to wreak a little havoc here on the cameras from time to time, so we want you to keep that in mind. We'll be trying to, you see there, Kenyans there, 3 abreast as they're going by us now, getting ready to come up Brady. Of course, way in the back of the pack, a lot of the runners and walkers getting soaked, waiting for their turn to get to the starting line. But right now, there are the lead pack of runners, and several of the runners want to go out and set an early pace. There's a couple rabbits in the field that want to try and get to that first mile, but we'll try and keep you posted. Number 1 will be Ken Martin. Number 3, Joseph Enzao. Steve Kogo is wearing number 4 today. Sammy Lele will have number 7 when we get camera range to see him.
He's on the left side of the screen, and this is something. We're getting drenched here. The crowd's getting drenched. The athletes are feeling it as well.
Number 84 is the leader. We'll get a name on him, but we see the Kenyans, 4 of them, along with Ken Martin and Alejandro Cruz, going by our broadcast position right now.
And Martin Pitayo is on the middle of the picture. They're wearing their Reebok colors, and so it's but right in the middle. I can't pick his number out, but it's Martin Pitayo, and he is a Mexican who has just run spectacularly over in Europe. Didn't make the Mexican 10,000-meter Olympic team, but he has been running magnificently in Europe, and he can get these Kenyans a go. But they run as a team, they help one another, and the littlest man in that crowd is Sammy Lele, who's the favorite in the competition today. And already, as we are no more than 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the race, he's wearing number 7, is Sammy Lele.
Number 11 is Godfrey Kiprotich. He's in there.
27, Sammy Niangachi, who ran the Boston Marathon. He faded badly after being with the leaders through 18 miles. But again,
number 9 is also in there.
That's Korea. I mean, they're all these Kenyans plus Martin Pitayo.
Pitayo from Mexico wearing number 15. As the runners there, you see the big masses making their way up Brady Street Hill. The first part of this race, 1 mile, a steady climb uphill. You don't want to burn yourself out too far. Of course, a lot of these runners have run it for several years. They know better than to come out. Number 1, with the traffic, you're not going to go too far anyway. So you want to get up that hill, and then you can kind of set your running clock, as it were, as we continue to get drenched here pretty good at our broadcast. There you see the Kenyans running abreast. 5 of them now.
Rebenek, I mean, is that Sandu in the back with the purple shorts?
We're trying to pick him out.
He could well be that he's doing the name. Alejandro Cruz, a Mexican, on the left side of the screen. He was 3rd here last year. He has been running against these Kenyans on the tour throughout the summer. He was 3rd at the Cascade runoff 15K.
And he knows he wants to stay with him. He doesn't want him to get
down here to Williger Hill. So we don't have a lot of time going down Brady Street at the end of the competition, but there is a steep decline. Therefore, if you're going to be, you got to be near Lele in order to catch him. You can't let him get too far ahead. That's why they're going to go and give everything they got in his first couple of miles.
There you see many of the camera-shy runners going by as they have turned on to Kirkwood now. They made the first turn, so they're up the hill. They've made that first mile, and now they're making the turn down Kirkwood Boulevard.
Last year, Bill Reichsnyder took out the first mile in 4 minutes, 54-second pace. We are not yet at 4 minutes, and right now, just 4:53 we're passing now. They've already, we don't have the exact split, but they're well on.
So a great opening run then.
Well, it's classic Kenyan tactics. Steve Kogo, who is one of the American-based Kenyans, he was a Fairleigh Dickinson graduate out of New Jersey. He had a great quote in the Times this morning. He said, a lot of times when you get great runners together, it's a tactical race, a waiting race. But the Kenyans, they don't run to win, they run to perform. And that's what you're seeing. First mile, 4 minutes, 45 seconds. We're on course record. So much for my idea, there's no huddle.
It's almost like a steeplechase down there as they're getting ready.
Put some hurdles
out there. All right. Something everyone's going to remember here as the rain coming down. Actually, it's coming straighter down now. It was coming at an angle for a while, so maybe it will dissipate here before too long. But there you see the Kenyans and the two Mexicans, Cruz and Pateo. There's about a 7-man pack there. The two guys named Sammy. Leading the pack.
Pateo, number 15, just looks he looks very good, very effortless. Whereas Cruz was working very hard back with the Mazda singlet on. You can see how hard he muscles his way.
As far as the women, we've been able to pick them out. Olga Markova was the leader after 1 mile. She was followed by Trina Painter and Anne-Marie Letko. Their time, 5:35. How do you like that first women's split?
Well, that's more of a marathon pace, to be honest. That's not as fast as the men. Now, Markova is more of a marathon runner. Again, she's the Boston Marathon champion, who should be running in Barcelona, but is not. And the other two women ran in the U.S. trials and didn't qualify, but ran very fast times, and so they should be prepared to give Markova all she wants in today's race. Okay, as the crowd thins out, the runners thin out, our motorcycle camera will be able to get in there, but you have to keep in mind the slippery streets is going to cause him a little precaution too. We're going to take a break right now and come back to what is already shaping up is to be a wide open mad dash here in the Quad City Times Big 7. This will probably be the most fun the Big 7 has had in its 18 years, and it's probably the worst time we'll have 18 years of broadcasting it.
I feel like I've ran already. We're drenched here.
Oh.
Hey, this is fun. As you see, the Kenyan Sammy Lele. Everyone said he was the man to beat. He's trying to set an early pace, but there's about 5 guys that don't want him to run away.
No, I mean, if they stick with him, they feel they got a chance at the end. Now, what we're seeing, where's Keith Brantley, where's Ken Martin, where's Steve Kogo?
Yes, where are they?
The reason I believe that what we're seeing here is the Kenyans that are coming to the United States now, like John Sinclair was saying, have come directly from Kenya. They're peaked coming from home. They'll only be here for 5 races, so they can put it all out into 5 races, then take their prize money, go home and live very well for a year on the money they made in the United States. If they had to spend their money here and race all the time, like the great Steve Kogo, Michael Musioki who's run here, Joe and Zhao, those guys, when you run more often, you rob yourself of your ability to peak, and so that would be more of an even playing field. Right now, they're not running on an even playing field, and the Kenyans here have a tremendous advantage over the American Tour regulars.
All right, the 2-mile split times, 9:05 for the leaders. For the women, 10:34. The leading woman right now is Anne-Marie Letko. She's followed by Olga Markova. Libby Johnson has moved into 3rd, and Sabrina Dornhofer of Minneapolis now 4th.
All close together, too.
Yes, very close together. We'll be picking up the women momentarily. As you see,
people right with him through the heart of the race. He's always broken away very early. You saw that earlier in the piece we did on the Kenyans.
Here comes the spine from Palmer College, the one of the traditions, the walking spine, as they're heading up the other incline there.
You can see that, and now it looks like Cruz on the right. They're coming up to the turnaround, and they want to get good position for that turn. That's just what they need, water. Right. Yeah, let me have a cup of that water.
Get some water.
Yeah, splash that on my head, would you?
And there's the turn. The
Kiprotich
early.
Kiprotich makes it first, followed by Cruz. Then Pitayo and Lele.
$500.
That's a $500 premium, in essence. And now they have to go up another... They're going to turn, shift gears. This is very much like a Formula One race course as opposed to the Indy 500 where they have it in one big gear and they just hold that all the way around and hope the engine doesn't break.
13:40 after 3 miles. You like that pace?
That's probably 5K. That's 13:40 is probably 5K, so it's more like 13 flat for the 3-mile mark, and that's still under the course record. Again, with all this gear changing goes on with the turns and with the hills that are out there, it's really who's got the best transmission, not so much the best engine. Who can shift gears and accelerate? Because when you go around that turn, you have to get back up to speed. And now Cruz is making his move. And if you take a look at the styles, Cruz has no lift in his legs. He's all power. He just muscles his way through it. His arms almost pick up his legs. He's very tight around the hips.
That's Cruz and Godfrey Kiprotich of Kenya, who have come out a couple of strides ahead, but Martin Pateo right behind Sammy Lele, keeping pace. A couple of the other Kenyans dropping back just a little. So we've our 6-pack has now gone to a foursome, actually, as the leaders, but you get the feeling that at any time someone could come up. Still haven't seen much of Ken Martin, the defending champion.
We're not going to.
And the women right now, Anne-Marie Letko is our leader. Olga Markova is running 2nd. Libby Johnson from the U.S. and Sabrina Dornhofer, another American, running 3rd and 4th. So keep in mind the top 10 places.
The game's been called off.
The River Bandits staff is here in uniform. We understand the Arsenal has a big contingent running. They're running in platoon. We may be able to pick them up.
Only now, Tom, is the final walkers just passed us. It took 17 minutes for the final walkers for the entire field to clear our location.
There, as you see, Cruz.
And Lile's hanging on. It looks like Lile's a little bit vulnerable at this point. And Kiprotich and Cruz.
And
Pitayo, the two Mexicans, it's 2-on-2 now. It's always been in the past that the Kenyans would overwhelm another contingent. And they would run as a team against whoever else was in the race. Well, right now here at the Big 7, what we have is 2-on-2. And so it's an even playing field amongst the Kenyans and the Mexicans. And the Mexicans are now 1 and 2.
All right, last year we had 3-on-3. This year we have 4-on-4. Should be a great race as they hit the 4-mile mark at 18:28. We're going to be back, which should be a great finish here to the Quad City Times Big 7. Stay with us.
Rest in the face. Look at Cruz. I mean, he's working hard. You can
looks
see he's
like
working
us.
harder. Well, it's more attractive, but the record again we have today is 32 minutes, 17 seconds, set back in 89 by Mark Nino, American, who is the world record holder for 10K on the roads. The women's record is 36:35, set by Aaron Baker, and also 1989. Which obviously good by the year.
The finish line was straight down Brady, straight into the river, so they didn't have to turn. So keep that in mind. So a record here today would be even more impressive.
The last splits we had them about 9 or 10 seconds under course record pace on the men's side as Cruz now goes to the front. And the men, it's been somewhat tactical in the sense that we saw Cruz busting it up early right after the turnaround. Lele did the early front running. Kiprotich has also done his fair share. So it's Cruz is the guy that seems to be holding on most. And as we saw from last year's competition, Cruz does not have a finishing kick. It's incumbent upon Cruz, if he is to win this race, to get away from these other men.
Of course, last year he took the wide berth, too, coming down the hill. Our 5-mile split time for the men, 23:08. The women at 4 miles were 21:16. So pretty good pace there. As you see, Lele.
It was a 440 fifth mile, and that was uphill. Coming back up Kirkwood.
The runners, as you see, going by, being applauded and cheered by the mass of the big field coming down the other way. So always quite a sight here as the runners get to see the leaders coming back the other way.
1984, we had 3 men coming to the finish for a sprint. Last year, the same thing. 3 men, including Cruz, one of the 4 today. Today at Bix, it's a 4-man, and it looks like they're going to take it all the way to the wire, and it will come down to some sort of a sprint. Because if you can hang on with the pace to this point, you probably have enough, especially coming down Brady Street, to relax. And these guys are now starting to look for position for that last kick on 4th.
Well, they're coming up that last gradual incline, coming back up Kirkwood as they come down from McClellan. So there's some sneaky hills in here, and you've got to stay close on the incline.
Pitayo on the left looks fantastic, and he has some speed, and he's got so much confidence coming off that fast 10,000 in Europe. And one of the other things that you find is that these guys have all tested one another. I mean, what kind of kick do I think the other guys got? I would say that Cruz and Lele are the most vulnerable regarding a kick. Kiprotich and Pitayo run, they're more like they're not sitting down on their stride, they're lifting, and they're more like lopers rather than scooters.
Kiprotich looks pretty smooth too, very effortless.
No, Kiprotich and Pitayo they're more the runners. It seems like they would have the best gears if it came down to just a sprint finish, but we'll see.
Our women at the 5-mile, 26:10, Markova and Trina Painter and Libby Johnson.
That's
so
5 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 seconds per mile pace. That's what 26:10 represents. So they're running very fast on the women's side.
All right, we can see records in both.
And I think he's basically had the time and the acclimation to be able to catch up in his training to match Lele.
It looks like Cruz is doing all he can just to stay with these guys.
He's looking forward to that downhill. I think Cruz is have to relegate himself to a 4th place finisher. 3rd.
Lele looks like he just started.
Pitayo's face, look at the fact that he could look over at that point. He is not, as lactic acid is flushed through the system, which is the waste product of your working out, essentially, you stiffen. You get real tight and stiff after exercise or in the middle of a very hard exercise. The fact that Pitayo can look around like he does means that he's got plenty left.
All right, we're at the 6-mile mark, 28 minutes even for this pack of 4 leaders. So we're looking pretty good. 32:17 the record, and it's going to be downhill that last mile.
Averaging 4:40 per mile. 28 minutes for 6 is just around a 29-minute 10K. And so they're running right at 4:40 pace.
There you see Patayo on your left. Lele dropping back just a little. Kiprotich, number 11. Martin Patayo of Mexico, number 15.
Patayo looks the best because he's just, look at him gauge.
Here comes Cruz a little bit, though.
He wants to go. There's no more competitive man in the field, certainly, than Alejandro Cruz, who was third last year. He hasn't won in a while in the States, former Chicago Marathon champion, and a 2:09 marathoner at his peak.
Look at, they're all abreast now.
Patayo, as he takes these little sneaks, he's picking up the pace imperceptibly, but enough where he's seeing, how does this affect these other guys? He's not really going all out as they're coming back down Brady. He's testing what these little moves do, so when he really wants to put the big push on, he'll know exactly that no one can go with him. So Patayo's the man right now who is setting the agenda as they come back through our broadcast location.
Now we're just starting the downhill run, just starting it going downhill, and we're going to see Cruz and Patayo, Lele and Kiprotich. They are just about even as they skip right by us. We have a four-man sprint going to the finish. We're going to Kiprotich dropping back perhaps just a little. We'll see who the downhiller is. Lele putting it on now, and there's Patayo on the right. Cruz trying to keep pace. This is an all-out sprint downhill. That turn under slippery conditions may be a factor too coming up.
Absolutely. Now look at how much effort Lele has to sway back and forth. He's got that right arm whipping. I love Bill Rogers. His body is not used to running downhill but easily.
Two more Kenyans going by us now.
Look at how straight ahead, how smooth Martin Patayo looks. He's very easy with his stride. Cruz is all hips and muscles and legs and pulling and pushing, and Nyanguchi's a little bit out of it right now.
Mark Planches just went by as we saw him go. But here's the leader, Sammy Lele, inching just ahead of Martin Patayo. Keith Brantley just going by. So he's going to be trying to fight for a top 10 finish along with Tom Hansberry. But it's Lele, Patayo, Cruz, Kiprotich trying to keep pace. There's your top four runners as they head under the railroad viaduct. And we're getting very close. 32:17. Keep in mind the record.
1 minute from the course record time. And you can see that Cruz digs down and tries to find another gear, trying to match with Patayo and Lele. Lele has got that look of fatigue and pain just wiped all over his face as Patayo makes the turn first. They're going to have to do something, but right now it looks like Patayo's got all the gears necessary that he needs to win this race.
All right, we saw Nick Rose go by. He looks to be the leader in the Masters. Here's Cruz now, sprinting wide right, and Patayo. Lele has dropped back a little bit. Cruz with a kick. He could be doing it. He's going by Patayo and Alejandro Cruz, who lost on the stretch run last year, trying to make amends. It's Cruz and Patayo, the two Mexicans, trying to outrace the Kenyans now. Patayo comes up.
He knows he's got it. Patayo sees that he's got it. And
look at the face on Cruz as Patayo's putting on a great finishing kick. Keep in mind, 32.
The two Mexicans.
17 is our time. 32:17 the record. They're heading toward the chute. Patayo and Cruz just about shoulder to shoulder, but Patayo has inched him just a little bit. What a finish we're having here. The 18's running, and the quad 2 times. Here comes Cruz trying to pass Patayo on the inside. We've got a horse race going on. Through the puddles, and it's going to be Alejandro Cruz, the winner in 32:21. Martin Patayo right behind. Here comes Kiprotich. Got Kiprotich coming in for third, and Sammy Lele taking fourth. Wow, what a finish by the men. And as far as the women are concerned, we have Trina Painter and Libby Johnson leading there. They'll be coming by us momentarily.
Foot Locker Road Race of the Month is brought to you by Foot Locker, where it all begins, and by Bud Light. want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a buzzer.
Winners, take your mark. Go! We'll see you on 10 miles.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Rivers along with Ed Ison, and we're on the press truck here in Flint, Michigan for the 17th running of the Crim 10 miler. A race, Ed, that you've won a couple of times. We were saying you're like a dynasty in this race.
I was a regular dynasty here in the late 80s, and it's a great race, 10 miler. It should be interesting to see who can come through today.
You know, what we have in this competition is all the winners from the circuit lined up on one starting line. We've got Thomas Osano, who won Fix, and Peachtree from Kenya, but we've also got the hottest guy right now. It really is a cyclical thing. Simon Carrori just last weekend and the weekend before that winning at Asbury Park in the Falmouth Road race, going up against a guy you raced last weekend yourself in a half marathon.
Yeah, Delmiro dos Santos ran a half marathon in Parkersburg, ran quite easily to a win in the 102 range, and so he is very strong right now. But coming back from a half marathon 1 week later, I think it's going to be tough. But then again, all these guys are doubling, and so we're going to see who the real horse is, who can come back 6, 7 days later and race well.
We can plan before the race, but during the race, you never plan. You just do it. And so things happen in the race, and so I don't know. I just want to be there with the leader, with the pack, no matter who is in front, no matter how the pace are, no matter how well they are. I just want to be there. That's is one of my last short race, and I want to do well.
Delmiro dos Santos is right in front. You would think, Ed, would you not, that it would be his burden to lose the Kenyan?
It really will be, you know. Delmiro is a fantastic half marathoner. This really is, you know, a half marathon is his distance. And so 10 mile, you know, just being a couple miles short of a half marathon is, I think, plays into his hand. But the fact that he ran a full half marathon 7 days ago, I think is going to pay its toll on his legs. And you can tell right now the fact that they're all together, they're just kind of playing around out there, which is actually unfortunate because today's a perfect day for racing. It's great conditions. We could have, if they get down and start racing, we could have a course record day, but you know they're going to blow it here in this first mile if they don't start picking things up.
And if you his MO, that's how he races. Very strong, but he has also has a very strong kick at the end as well. So he's almost like the male Lynn Jennings. He can do it either way you want to do it.
Now we see Alejandro Cruz kind of moving into the picture. He's another guy who likes to take it out and force the pace, and I think he is not content with the slow early pace. He has a classical working man ethic kind of stride form. He's a real worker out there, but he's right there in the forefront also.
Gideon Mutisha, another Kenyan who's based in Wyoming with part of the Joe Inzao group, is right up there. We're coming into the downtown Flint area, and this is where the thickest parts of the crowds always are. And Ed, as you've known in the past, they get a big boost out of this.
This is really nice. You know, Flint has, you know, it's a great
Late July. He went back to Kenya to try to put a place on the World Championship team and didn't actually even end up running the trials race and hung around home for a couple of weeks. And when Kenyans who are based either in the States or in Europe go back to Kenya, they don't train, and when they come back, they're not the same for a couple of weeks, and that's what we're wondering about Osama.
You have said something there that maybe sometimes when we come from Kenya, you don't meet us in top shape. I can agree with you that that's very true, because when we are back home, you see, that's our country, and most of the people who are there, they do work. When you don't work with the government or any company, you have got your personal work that you do, and really we don't get enough time for training. But you see, when we are outside here, we don't have any work to do, but you get that most of our time we are concentrating on training. That's why you get that we get our top shape so fast, and we feel train faster. And it is kind of tradition that we are trying to do good on long distance.
In fact, we're passing an American flag, and it's dead still on its pole on the side of the course. That's why the runners are spread throughout the course and not drafting on one another.
Yeah, whenever you see the runners fanned across the road like that, they're not, you can tell the wind is not in their face. They're not trying to get that drafting effect by hiding behind one another. And they're probably running some pretty good times right through here.
But right now it's Carrori who's doing the majority of the work, and yet this is a strategy we've seen in the past.